Yes, the music stopped. Um, I think I'm going to title today's vlog What Happens Now Part 2, and the reason is I'm going to elaborate on a few things. Now, I'm not really into conspiracy theories. I'm more into conspiracy facts. Oh, there it is. It like I stated before, I am hooked up with an intelligence apparatus. I'm retired from it, but still have all my connections, and I utilize those connections to stay informed on what's really going on out there in the world. Why? Why does it even make me any difference? Excuse me, boy, that's a rude thing to do on camera. The reason it makes me different is because I love you, and I love me, and I love everybody that's in my family and friends list. If you're watching this video, I love you. That is a fact. You can take that and put it in the bank. And so I try to stay informed on what's going on. I never lay all my cards out on the table. That's a poker axiom, I guess. The reason I do not is because if you give someone too much information, my wife says I give too much information all the time on here and on my radio show. That is not true. What I say and what comes out of my mouth is prayerfully considered. The guys that I know that are in intel sometimes ask me to go ahead and bring things up, to leak information so the general public will know it. And in the spirit of that, I'm going to let you know something. 2015 COVID-19 was developed, not 2015, not 19. It was not released. They started developing it all the way back in 2013. They started perfecting it in 2015. 2019 they were finished. Now, what do I mean by that? It is a designer virus, folks. It has been. I've made no secret of that. I've told anybody that listens, it's chimera. Chimera is when you take two opposing substances or organic life and you, bam, you force them together. That is what happened with COVID-19. 19 doesn't indicate the strains of the virus. It indicates the year that they first noticed it. Probably around October, November, somewhere in there. Now, there is an actual reason why it was released that is much more complicated than the Chinese government trying to shut down the dissidents in their own country. It was purposely brought over here to the United States of America for one real reason. It's all about conquest of America, changing America, the United States of America's type of political machine. What do I mean by that? If you have a pandemic that is ongoing worldwide, that enables those who want a unified government worldwide to assert control. It allows them to go ahead and begin the process of shifting around to a different type of governmental structure. there will be a lot of turmoil because this is in play. It is in play. Then you have the free-spirited, strong-willed American that nobody's telling me to wear a mask, I'm not going to do it. But the whole point of what I'm saying is this. They installed this virus on our shores, and it is wreaking havoc. You also have two political factions. You have the Republicans and the Democrats. They each have a different agenda on their take on the virus. The Republicans want to downplay it and just not going to give credence to the fact that it is very serious. Why? Because a lot of Republican leaders have had the virus, got over it, and they're just fine. Here in Oklahoma, our governor had it. But now he's issued a call asking the citizens of our state to be more responsible. Why is that? Well, I'm going to give you, I've got to read on the back of this thing. I'm going to give you a little bit of information. On November 6th in Oklahoma, to that point, we'd had 131,750 people test positive, and that was up 1,878 people overnight from November 5th. And then something really, really intense happened. On November 7th, which was yesterday, suddenly we had 136,492 people test positive. That was up 4,741 people overnight. Health Department claims that there was a maladjustment and they're just playing catch up. The reality of this is, and was, the powers that be were pushing here in Oklahoma and elsewhere in the country to under-report the amount of actual cases. Why? Because it's kind of like my son Nick says, people have to work so they have money so they can buy food so they can eat. It's real simple. You can't just sit there and starve to death and be a strong nation. You can't do it. Now, you take the flip side of that. If Joseph Biden actually does take over the office of the president and the fraud that he and his put out to steal the election, and they're successful at stealing the election, then one of the things he will institute is mandatory shutdowns. Schools will be shut down, factories will be shut down, businesses will be shut down, and the government will then send money out to everybody. Why is that? Why would he do that? Well, he'll try to convince us that he's doing it because he loves us and he cares about our safety. No, what they're doing is they're changing the form of government we have here in the United States. They're changing it to a socialist type government. Where the government takes care of you from the cradle to the grave, period. Point in fact. The reality of that is it also diminishes your freedom. It robs you of being able to think for yourself, do for yourself, and have the freedom of movement and all the other freedoms that are there in a republic. Okay, I'm going to explain something that is very basic that many of you do not know. Do you know what a democracy is? In the United States, we're not a democracy. In a democracy, the majority rules. Everybody votes, everybody has a say, and then whoever holds the most cards wins. Whoever has the majority wins. That's supposedly how our president is elected. That is not true. We have an electoral college to where the will of the people is represented by an elector, because it is virtually impossible to count every vote, but yet they try to. Now, what is a republic? A republic is where we have representatives represent us in government, and our votes are given to them to represent us. That's a republic. So what is the United States of America? We're a democratic republic. It's the best of both worlds. That is how the founding fathers set it up. That is how it still is. Now, why is this important right now? The reason it's important is this. If the Democrat Party is successful in stealing this election, they had no intention of playing fair and having every legitimate vote counted. There are instances and instances and instances where ballot rigging took place, where this electronic voting machine system called Dominion changed all the votes from Republican to Democrat. It has taken place. It took place during the Gore-George Bush deal. Gore supposedly won the popular vote. He didn't. George W. Bush did. And let me explain something. I consider George W. Bush one of the worst presidents we've ever had. I actually do. However, he was better than what would have happened if Al Gore had been elected. Why? Because Al Gore is a socialist. The bottom line in all this is, and this is my parting thought, parting shot. If the Democrats are successful in stealing this election, then we will never have another election that counts. We'll not have another honest election in my lifetime. They're moving toward a socialist government, folks. Hand over fist, moving to a socialist government. Well, what's wrong with socialism? Like AOC says, it's never been tried properly. Folks, socialism does not work. So one man's socialism is another man's communism. And what happens when you do that, you move from being for everybody, even the little guy. It all looks good in theory, but in application it's never been good. Look at Cuba, look at China, look at Russia when it was the United Socialist Republic they had, USSR, United Soviet Socialist Republic. Another word for communism. The few at the top had all the money and the rest of the country suffered. And because they doled out money for nothing, everybody got a wage from the government, it instilled and installed laziness. If you have a country where everybody sits on their butt and does nothing and draws that government check, you have no production. If you have no production, none at all, and everybody's all equal and everybody has the same amount of money, what happens is there's no incentive to be productive, no incentive to develop anything, no incentive to go ahead and better your society. And so, by and large, just a second, again, my sinuses and allergies are off scale. What happens is it stifles creativity, and then suddenly everyone is living in abject misery, abject poverty. That is what happened in China. The Chinese realized that it wasn't working, so what did they do? They allowed a bit of capitalism in there. China is now a communist capitalist nation. They still have an iron grip on everything. Shades of Jack Ma, the billionaire. They've been raiding his money hand over fist. It's just not going to get better anytime soon, if it's going to get a whole lot worse if the election stands and Joe Biden actually becomes president. I mean, you've got a woman for vice president that traded sexual favors all the way up until she was in the American Senate. And I'm going to tell you something. Kamala Harris is a really pretty gal, but she's ugly as a bowl of dog do on the inside. She's got a black soul. She's not a good person, not at all. If you're able and you're where you have access to various search engines, look up her history. Google will not give you a legitimate and honest view of Harris's background. They won't do it. But go to Bing, go to Yahoo. There's a ton of search engines. Due to the fact that this computer I've got sitting to my right there is as massive as it is, I have all those search engines on it. I have 5 different operating systems on this thing. It's a lot more advanced than an Apple computer. I'm not bragging when I say that. It's like I told my wife. I have 2 extra computers down under the table to my right and one on top that I've got to take to my technician and have it retrofitted. The reason I do that is I use this to go ahead and benefit my family financially. I do that a lot. I'm retired, I have retirement income, and with my retirement income, it's still not enough to keep things going here on the farm. It's not that I'm a spendthrift. I'm not. We do not waste money here. We don't have it to waste. But we're in a much better position than a lot of people I know, in as much as we're situated financially to where even though we're not rich, we're very comfortable. Everything we've got's paid for. It has to be that way. Otherwise, we would really be hurting right now. And I know a lot of people who are hurting. I really do. And my prayer goes out for them. I pray constantly, every day. I'm in some form of prayer. I'm not a good man. I'm not. A lot of people think I am. I know all my sins. God knows all my sins. God knows my heart. But I'm trying to be a good man. The only good man I know, really and truly, is Jesus Christ, and he's the God-man. He was God-man both. Well, that's pretty much the vlog for today. I want you to hold those you love close. We will, as a people, get through what's coming up. But I need to tell you something. The reason I'm calling this What Happens Now Part 2 is to give you a little bit extra on here. And that is, we're headed for some violent times. People talk about bug out bags and all the other things, and everybody thinks, well, let's run here or run there. What a lot of folks do not understand is there are a ton of people looking at that as a way to get through what's coming up. I have a little daughter-in-law that said she was going to take her kids, she's got bug out bags for them, and head out to the lake. I'm not going to say which daughter-in-law, I'm not going to say which kids. I'm just going to say this. Everybody else and their dog is going to head out to the lake. Where are we going to head out? Right here. We've got everything in place to take care of ourselves. It could be really bad, folks. It really could. So my suggestion to you is, number one, get right with God. Put him in the place that he needs to be in your life. Study Scripture. Number two, be kind to everyone you come across, even if you don't like them. Be kind. A lot of times, kindness is simply not being hostile in your vocalization, hostile in your communication. Be kind, be nice. If you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. And number three, starting as soon as you can, put back a little bit of food. If you do a little bit every week, then what happens is you get to the point you got a lot of food. Now, where we're at, we've got a farm, we've got livestock, we've got poultry, we've got eggs, and we've got vegetables, we've got nut trees. That's better than what a lot of people have, but I need to shift that around. We don't have enough right now to help a whole lot of other people, and that is our next big move, is getting enough to help a lot of people. So that's what I'm telling you. Work towards the point that you can share. Work towards the point that you can instill a sense of calmness in other people. Work on being kind. That's it. That's it for today. I love you. God bless you, and I'll catch you again tomorrow. And I do the radio show tomorrow. Bye.